Okay, we'll call to order the Finance Committee meeting for November the 15th, this year 2021. We will start out with invocation led by Councilor Alex Reynolds, followed by the flag salute if you'll stand at this time.
Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we are gathered here tonight to take on the city's business. Please watch over and guide us and bless us as we make serious decisions for the city. Help us put our differences aside and work together to the best of our abilities for our great citizens of Muskogee. Please forgive us of our sins, watch over and guide us throughout our week. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Salute. Pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Finance Committee agenda item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of November 1, 2021, or take other necessary action.
Reviewing of the minutes, are there any corrections or additions to our minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 1 passes. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments October 23rd, 2021 through November 5th, 2021, or take other necessary action.
We have a report from the Purchasing Committee.
Yeah, the purchasing committee did meet this afternoon, and we approved the claims, so I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our claims list. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Evelyn Hibbs. Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 2 passes. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of state contract pricing from Joe Cooper Chevrolet in the amount of $35,343 for the purchase of one 2022 Chevrolet 2500 four-wheel drive crew cab truck for the Emergency Management Department, or take other necessary action.
Mrs. Swepner?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Before you tonight, we have for your consideration the approval of a purchase of a 2022 3/4 ton four-wheel drive crew cab truck for the Assistant Emergency Management Director. This will give her the appropriate size vehicle to be able to pull the large equipment that they need to in those emergency events when they arise. It is a state contract purchase. Total budget for this project is $43,000. The remaining amount of money will be used to outfit that vehicle, much like we do the police cars, with the appropriate lighting, sirens, decals, toolboxes, etc. We will follow all purchasing procedures as normal when we do the additional outfitting of that vehicle. Be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we recommend approval for the purchase of this for the $35,343 state contract price from Joe Cooper Chevrolet.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mrs. Swepson?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this agenda item. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Item number 3 passes. Item number 4, please.
Receive report on the status of the athletic fields at Love Hatbox Sports Complex and take other necessary action.
Council Stout?
Yes, we just wanted to see since the fall ball season is not over, on the kind of an update on the sports complex, on the field maintenance and the plans that we have for the fields to be ready for the spring.
So yes, I'll go ahead and let the Parks Department and Brook Hall for Recreation address both of those things.
I'm up first with the baseball youth program. So as requested, we have met and discussed some of the needs, changes, whether it be specifically about the programs, youth baseball, which we manage in-house, and also field and complex improvements. So we've transitioned the Youth Baseball League from OK Kids to the USSSA League. And this change was implemented in hopes that we will increase tournament play and also league teams local league teams here in town. We've met with the UAAA tournament director, Lynn Gibson. She has discussed using the complex to host tournaments this coming year, and she's given us a recommendation of improvements to both just field improvements and the complex in general. So we've reached out to her. We plan to have another meeting as well with her to try to secure dates as well as discuss where we are on those improvements. Our goal is to increase play in 2022. So that baseball, we have a huge opportunity there, and would like tournament directors, whether it be regional directors or local coaches and teams that would like to host fundraising tournaments, which there's a great opportunity for that as well. And we can work with those local groups too. I think we have the potential also to build in some incentive with tournament and tourism funding for these directors to try to recruit them, because I think that's where we're at right now, is we really need to look at how we can grow as a staff, but also grow our tournament play and have some recruitment effort there. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm working on for the 2022 calendar year. So I'm kind of the program side. Rick Ewing is going to discuss more specifically the field improvements. But if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any
Thank you,
questions for
Brooke.
Brooke? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, committee, good evening. Our last activity on the baseball fields was in late October, so we are now free to do extensive work on the fields. This work list that I'm getting ready to go over was compiled by staff, and it incorporates all the USSSA requests, recommendations, as well as requests from users at the facility. So let me begin by saying we are partially complete removing lips from all baseball fields. We are going to regrade and resod baseball fields number 1 through 4, and we'll add amendments to the skins, which are the dirt parts of the field, on fields 1 through 4, 9 and 10, and softball fields 1 through 8. And this will happen concurrently with the regrading of fields 1 through 4. And this will happen this winter. We're currently talking with 3 companies for the grading and sodding of the fields 1 through 4 and amending the skins. Overseeding baseball fields, the infields and the aprons on fields 5 through 10. That work was completed today. And the price that we paid for this also includes a seed for fields 1 through 4 that we will do in the spring, because we have to finish with all the grading before we go in and seed. Obviously, it would be wasting. We're using a local company for that has hundreds of clients in Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And they are, like I say, they're a local company. So we're very pleased and proud to be doing that. In continuance, we're going to remove all the gravel areas on the fields and convert those to grass. That is in the process. We're going to eliminate areas that hold water or mud in the entire complex, be it concrete or dirt. We're currently working with fence companies to repair all the fences, hardware, tie-downs, and rails in the entire complex, from the former runways to the exit at 34th Street. We'll be sand top dressing all the infields, fields 5 through 10. That will happen this winter as well. We'll remove the lips from the softball fields. We'll apply pre-emergent herbicide on all fields in February. We're going to repair and replace any damaged metal roofs on dugouts and bleacher covers. And we'll repair all electrical receptacles in the complex that have been broken. And we'll ensure all complex lights are working. And that's a tall order, but when we're done, we're going to have a beautiful complex. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Rick. We appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes.
Rick, I know you said when it's done, we're gonna have a beautiful complex.
Yes, sir.
I've had a problem, and had this problem all summer. I had it last year, year before that. And it's still, to this day, we still can't get it right. We coming out of the Hatbox Field, when there's the health department right across the street, okay? And that's 34th Street, right there?
Yes, sir.
Well, right across from the health department, going back north, that ditch is still nothing but weeds that high.
Cattails. Yep.
And I can't understand why we can't keep that ditch cut and clean and nice.
From what I understand, that was on Public Works list of things to mitigate. We don't have the equipment for that, but it was only cut very seldom. But in all of the mowing conversations we had, that was brought up, and they had a plan to mitigate that. I don't know what it was, but I understand that they were looking into that.
Okay. I sure hope we get it mitigated, because like I say, it looks a mess. I mean, you have people coming in, and that's a nice facility out there. But it's just, like I said, I don't like all that growed up grass.
Yes, sir.
That's just me. And I'm pretty sure it's everybody up here on this council, where if you pass by and look at it, and Mayor too, just go by there if you don't believe what I'm saying. Right there by the health department, right across the street on down. They got ditches out there. I don't look good for our city. I appreciate you. I'll turn the floor back over to Ms. Chairman.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right. Any other
sorry.
questions for Rick?
Mr. Chairman, may I be recognized?
Yes.
This is great, and I know we've done, we put sodding and everything up before, but the complaint I get a lot of times is that we're just not maintained. And when people want to come play ball, they don't want to play ball where the grass isn't cut. They want to play ball whenever there's a divot that's not corrected, where one of their players can get hurt. And there's even complaints just about, that garbage isn't even put up. I get calls quite a bit about Hatbox, and I'm really glad that we're getting some work done to it. So we're going to do all these things, but if we do this, are we going to maintain it? I mean, if we're going to put all this money into it, we better take care of it too.
And that is an ongoing conversation that we're having in an effort to try to figure out how to get more boots on the ground. And so with 3 people taking care of 125 acres, it's, we're spread pretty thin. And this year was exceptionally tough because of the labor market. So, and I'm not making excuses, but we just couldn't keep people out there to work. Next year, we're in hopes that will not be the case, and we'll have a full crew out there to take care of these problems. And that was in all of our crews, the trash crew that comes through, and the facilities folks that come in and do things, and our crews that do things. And so it was an extremely tough year.
Yeah.
So, but we are having serious conversations on how to get boots on the ground, so we never have another complaint, another justifiable complaint. Let me put it that way.
Well, because, talking to these coaches, you can have the nicest facilities, but if your fields are trash, they're not going to play. And there's no reason why that park should not be full every single weekend during the ball season.
We agree.
Bringing in teams, filling our hotels, eating at our restaurants. It should be full every weekend. And the complaint I get is they come in, they say, it's the fields. So, I mean, we need to really focus on that. I'm glad that we're doing it. I'm glad that we're reseeding and we're resodding and we're grading. But if we're not going to make any effort to maintain, so we need to make sure that that's done. Turn the floor back over.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I got one more thing to say.
Yes, go ahead.
Another thing, Rick, I know this ain't your fault. I ain't trying to pick on you.
No.
I was down at Robinson Park yesterday. I hadn't been down there in a
Yes, sir.
while. And I go down there and check things out. So I was going about a basketball court. I watched the soccer fields. There's a lot of little kids out there on the soccer fields.
Yes.
Matter of fact, they had their own little soccer goals. The big, nice goals we put down there? Is it a certain distance those supposed to be apart from each other? I don't know.
When they were set at, when was it we did this? A month and a half ago, something, when we moved the new goals over there. And they were set at regulation distance. And however, depending on the age group, you have different field sizes.
Yeah.
So with the small kids, the goals are smaller and they're also closer together. So a lot of coaches would rather take those little small portable goals so the small kids can play appropriate size soccer. And so ours, the ones that are there are mid-size. They're 21-foot goals, and so that's a middle-size goal, and that's what we put there just because it's middle of the road, so people can make adjustments.
Okay, because it seems like they're just so far apart from each other. Because I don't know the boundaries of how long a soccer goal is supposed to be from this soccer goal to this soccer goal. But another thing I was looking at yesterday when they did set their little goals up, I tell you what, I'll give it to them some little workers down there. They got their lawnmower out, and they cut a square out for the kids. Yeah, they cut a square out. I was looking at the little lawnmower and stuff. They got the grass manicured and everything. But I said myself, I started to call you today, but I forgot it. I was busy. But I think we're going to have to go back down there and do a little grass cutting down there at the park. So.
Yeah, we've got to cut leaves and cut dead grass as well.
Well, I appreciate everything you do,
bet.
Rick,
Thank you.
the Parks Department. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4 was just a report, so we'll move on to item number 5.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4142A, amending the City of Muskogee Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Article 5, Electric Code, by amending Section 18-355B, permits required, exceptions, preventing unlicensed persons from obtaining permit to perform electrical work, requiring a permit to perform or supervise electrical work, requiring any licensed electrician to report address and other changes to the Oklahoma Construction Industries Board, adding repealer, severability, and setting an effective date, and take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker?
Mr. Chairman, this is an agenda item as well as number 6 and 7 that staff generated to update our code to incorporate some recent changes to the law. We are now requesting that item be stricken. In review of our code, which adopts the international plumbing, mechanical, all the international codes, there are provisions within our city code which reference those and which reference state statute. So in looking at what is being proposed under these 3 items and comparing it with what is in the international codes, we're concerned that this may create some confusion. So what we're asking to do is for you all to strike these 3 items, let us go back, revise to ensure that that we don't create any more confusion by updating our code to conform with state law. Let me give you one example. There's a provision in the plumbing code which says that you can't do any work on even your own home if you are not a licensed plumber. However, in a different section in the law, it exempts minor repairs from that. And so if you didn't know that, then in reading what we've presented, it would be confusing. So that's why we want to go back and more fully develop this section so that it's clear, so that somebody doesn't mistakenly do something that would be in violation of the code. So we want to tweak this, and there's similar provisions in items 6 and 7, and then we'll bring those back for further consideration of the committee.
All right, thank you. So it's your direction that we actually still have to read these next
No.
3 items? We're just going to strike 5, 6, and 7.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, you weren't signed up to speak. You would have to get special, if any counselors would like to suspend the rules.
I'd like to suspend the rules on this gentleman here because he came in, when he first come in tonight, he asked me a question, so I'd like to give him 3 to 5 minutes to see what he was going to say about the water and the water meters, turning yourself, like, say for instance, example, I'm going to just go ahead and say what I got to say now. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Is Roy?
Well, are you talking about the plumbing code? Because item number 5 is the electrical code. So if
Plumbing code.
okay, all right. So then what I would say is we strike number 5, and then we go to number 6, and then Tammy read number 6, and then you can take action on number 6. But I'll make the same statement.
Thank you. So we're striking 5, and so with that, if the clerk could present us item number 6, please.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4143A, amending the City of Muskogee Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Article 5, Plumbing Code and Regulations, by amending Section 18-256, Permit Eligibility, by preventing unlicensed persons from obtaining a permit to work as a bona fide owner of a dwelling, accessory building, or quarters, requiring a permit to perform or supervise plumbing work, requiring any licensed plumber to report address and other changes to the Oklahoma Construction Industries Board by providing for codification, repeal or severability, and setting an effective date, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
again, I will request this item be stricken, and at this point, would Counselor Van's, committee member Van's, motion to suspend the rules would be appropriate at this time.
I'd like to suspend the rules. I forgot the gentleman's name. I don't think I got your name, sir. Mr. Ford, to speak on this issue, and I'd like to say some things too. I don't know if you want me to go first or want him to go first.
I second that motion.
Okay, let's go ahead and deal with the public comment at this
Okay.
time, and we'll do roll call.
What's the motion?
This is to suspend the rules to allow the,
Minutes. Are we putting minutes on it or just?
Yeah.
It would be appropriate to do that.
I'll give Mr. Ford 5 minutes. I'll make that motion.
all right.
And Jamie, is that your second?
Yes.
All right, roll call, please.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Mr. Van, if you want to go ahead and make your statements, and then we'll call the gentleman up.
Okay. I think the public needs to realize different things that we can do, that they can do at their homes. I'm a licensed journeyman plumber myself. I keep my license up every year. Every 3 years, I have to go to a code class to renew the code because codes change. And so every 3 years before I get my license, next year coming up, I'm gonna have to go for a 4-hour class. Then after that, I get my plumbing license, journeyman license renewed. So a lot of people, like, you can work on your water pipes yourself, to repipe your house and stuff, or you don't have to have a license and stuff. So I just want to be recognized tonight that, to get the formalities of how we can do that. Just like, for example, if I got a water leak on my house at night, okay, I got to go out there and get my water key, and I've got to go out there and turn my water off, because I'm not going to let that water just run and run and run. So I want to make sure tonight that our public knows that if they can either go get that key and turn that water off themselves, or they got to call the plumber out, because I'm not calling the plumber out to do that if the water's flooding my home. And that's just what this gentleman here, like, I know, like on gas piping, like I can put the pipe in, I can put the test on it as a journeyman plumber, but also as a journeyman plumber, I have to get a contractor to verify that I've done the work correctly. They used to a long time ago, because I just done this, Roy, they used to a long time ago let the journeyman plumber work on his own stuff, and also journeyman plumber could call for inspection. But now, if I do my work, if I got a gas leak, I put my test on it, I cannot call for a plumbing inspector unless one of my friends or something like that come out and inspect it, a contractor itself, plumbing contractor itself. He'll have to come out and inspect my gauge when I get through to make sure that holds 15 pounds of pressure for a certain length of time. I know it in the gas part of it, but I don't know about the repipe now, where you can repipe your house without getting a permit to do it, or have to have an inspection. But from the meter to the house, I still think you got to have an inspection, I believe. I'm not for sure on that.
You do.
Okay, you do.
And I want to clarify something, Counselor Van. What you're talking about with regard to turning the water on and on is not addressed in this code. It's in a different provision of the code related to tampering. And
Okay.
so changing, what we'd propose changing would have no effect on what you're talking about, turning on and off the water. Because that's touching the city's water supply, not necessarily doing work on your own line. So it's two different sections.
Okay, so can a person go out and use the water meter key themselves and if they got a leak, turn the water off themselves?
No.
They got to have the city come out and do it?
Right. Or have a licensed plumber. But none of that's addressed in this agenda item. That's a separate issue.
Okay.
We have another code provision that relates to that.
Okay, well, that's mainly what Mr. Ford was going to talk about, because I want you to know, the public needs to know this, because a lot of, public will go out there and use that meter key instead of having to call the water department to do it. Now, by me being a licensed plumber, I can go out and turn that water off, correct?
Yes, and that assumes that you don't also have an internal shutoff valve, because that wouldn't require a licensed plumber to do that.
Right. You still need to say something, Mr. Ford?
I'd like to say a couple things.
Go ahead.
If you could, sir, please state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to address us.
My name's Maurice Ford. My residence is 2401 Georgia Avenue. The property that I'm speaking about is at 1416 East Oak Mogi. My son bought a home, and we've had it for several years, and we're getting ready to get it livable, and it needs to be replumbed. And basically, what we were going to do is go from the old galvanized to PEX it up. And I went to the water department today and was talking about getting the water turned on, and they told me about this meeting tonight. They told me if I had the water turned on, I wouldn't be allowed to turn it on and off as needed. Typically, except I may do the bathroom, and I want to check it. I wouldn't be able to turn the water on and off. And go to the next item, maybe the kitchen. And work it. Every time I want to get this thing turned on and off, I've got to call a licensed plumber. That's kind of hard to grasp. We're selling all this stuff in home improvement places. People are doing this. You buy headers, you run your PEX all over the place. I wasn't aware of this. I've lived in the city. I've been doing it for a lot of years and didn't know I couldn't, or it's evidently something that's came up. But your people, your do-it-yourself people, are uninformed. I didn't have a clue till I tried to get the water turned on. And I explained to the lady, I want to be there when they turn it on so I can check for any immediate leaks and then turn it off. And I want to know where to address those problems right now before we go on. And that's why I'm here. The public's not aware of this. I wasn't aware of it. And I got to have a licensed plumber every time I want to go out there and turn my water on and off to check and see if what I've done is watertight before I go to the next item or whatever. The process you go through. And public needs to be, I was completely blown away today when I went in there to get my water turned off. And I wouldn't have known about this meeting except I asked the lady, when the city comes out, I want to be there. And when he turns it out, I want to check everything, see if there's a leak. We'll turn it back off. I said, can't do that. And I said, I might want to turn it on and off while I'm doing these repairs. If I got a leak, I did something, turn it on, service test it, see if it's good before I go to the next item. If it's not good, I turn the water off, fix it, and retest it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Miller, will you get the gentleman the answers he needs? And as Roy stated, this is not actually what we're talking about in these agenda items, but our city manager will be able to put you in connection with someone that can answer those questions for you.
Yes, please leave me your contact information.
Okay.
It's a good thing to know, though,
Most definitely.
because our citizens can't be tampering with the water meter, right, Tammy?
918.
Yeah, that's a good thing to know.
All right, so we're at this point, if there's no other questions on this item, we're going to scratch number 6 as well as scratch number 7, if that's the pleasure of the council committee. With that being said, our finance committee meeting is adjourned.
Welcome to tonight's Public Works Committee, November 15th, 2021. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of November 1, 2021, or take other necessary action.
Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
Move for approval?
The motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
And the motion passes. Item number 2.
Consider approval of ordinance number 4139A, amending the City of Muskogee Code of Ordinances, Article 4, Section 54-111, 6, disorderly conduct, by providing defense, adding a repealer, severability, and setting an effective date, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a proposed amendment to City Code 54-1116. Many of you may remember, and it has been a little bit of time, Staff was directed to prepare a juvenile justice study, which we did and presented last January. What the study did was look at all of our cases that go through our municipal court as they relate to juveniles. We looked at the types of crimes that were being perpetrated, and we looked at some of the challenges that the court was facing in processing these claims. And so as a result, there were a number of recommendations that were presented to the council, and the first of which relates to the proposal tonight. And so as probably many of you know, when we're talking about an assault and battery, which would be a misdemeanor level in the city, if there is an assault and battery that's perpetrated on someone, the person is permitted to defend themselves without being charged with assault and battery themselves. However, Section 54-111 relates to disorderly conduct. And in that section, it is a violation of the code if someone engages in a fight. So as a result, there is no defense for disorderly conduct. And so one of the recommendations, and this is a very common charge that faces our young people who are brought to our municipal court or juvenile court, particularly when they're involved in a fight at school. Based on the discussion that was had by our group and was presented back in January, some of the concerns are we'll have, if there are two kids who are involved in a fight, both of them are brought up. And so if the person who defended themselves and tried to stave off the fight is still charged and convicted with a crime because there is no defense provision within the statute. And so what is actually proposed is to incorporate a defense similar to what is already permitted in assault and battery. And as a result, that defense would allow someone, let me find the section, it would recognize the exception that a person has a reasonable right to prevent force or violence from another person through the use of sufficient level of counteracting force. And so now if you've got someone in school and little Johnny comes up and punches little Sam, and Sam fights back, they're both not going to be convicted of disorderly conduct because little Sam would have a defense to that charge. Because there was a lot of times that we discovered in this study that there were juveniles who would come up, and one of them was saying, "I didn't have anything to do with it. I just defended myself." Well, the judge was not permitted to consider that evidence because it's not a defense. And so this is one of the recommendations that we're making to help alleviate that, so that the folks who are convicted in our juvenile court are in fact in need of finding of guilt, rather than those who are simply acting out of self-defense. And so this code simply recognizes that and was a recommendation from the Juvenile Justice Study. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I do recommend approval.
Move for approval?
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
And the motion passes. Item number 3,
Consider the appointment of Dennis Wilhite to the War Memorial Trust Authority to serve a 3-year term, filling the expired term of Dan Hall, beginning December 1, 2021, and ending November 30, 2024, or take other necessary action.
Councilor Van.
Yes, I'll be tabling this and I'll be bringing it back to Monday night and I'll have my appointment then.
Sorry.
I'm tabling this today and I'll be bringing this back Monday night and I'll have my appointment then.
So let me just clarify something. So you may change the individual who's been recommended?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then I'm going to suggest that you take no action,
Okay.
because if you table the item, it will stay in the same form as it
Okay.
moves to the next body. So no action on this item.
No action on this item.
So do we need to vote on that?
No.
Okay. Item number 4,
Receive annual report on industrial pretreatment program performance summary and take other necessary action.
Hi, Mayor and committee members, or Chairman and council members. Every year I present a report on the city's industrial pretreatment program. This program protects the City of Muskogee's wastewater treatment plant by monitoring and inspecting industries that discharge wastewater to the plant. I have included in the packets our pretreatment performance summary for you to review. It details all activities completed this year. This year, some things of note, I reissued 3 permits and issued 6 notices of violation. 3 of the notices of violation were for permit limit violations at 3 different industries, and they were required to retest their wastewater. All the retests came back in compliance, and I'm happy to report that no industries were in significant noncompliance by EPA definition this pretreatment year, and I'll be happy to take any comments or questions.
You have any questions?
What is, you said they're not in significant noncompliance. What does that mean?
There's an EPA definition. There's a couple different reasons they can be in significant noncompliance. It's more for, we have permit limits for like metals or discharges in their wastewater. If they were above those permit limits more times of the year than not, and there's certain percentages, then they would be considered in significant noncompliance. It's basically a way to make sure that whatever is going to our treatment plant is not going to bypass into streams or anything, that we can treat it.
Thank you.
Yep.
More questions? So we have no action on item 4?
I don't believe any action is needed.
Correct.
Okay. Item number 5.
Receive report on the City of Muskogee's tourism program, is operated by the Muskogee Tourism Authority, and if appropriate, provide necessary direction to staff.
Okay, Ms. Stout and Deputy Mayor Reed.
I'll take this to give an introduction. Our community has, saw in the headlines over the last couple of weeks, activity going on in our tourism department. It seems like our entire term that we've had together, we've been dealing with the management, where the management's going to land, who's going to be the board and trustees over tourism, and we've never had an opportunity to actually hear what our vision is for tourism, what our plans are for tourism. And so this agenda item is giving Ms. Jordan an opportunity to present to the community actually some of her visions and some of the visions that the current board has been working on when it comes to the tourism program. So I present the tourism director at this time to present to us at this time. Ms. Jordan.
Thank you very much, and thank everybody for taking the time to listen to me rattle today about tourism. I'm about as passionate as, if you're going to scale it, consider me the Ivory Van of tourism. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance also, because if you can't tell, the cedar and ragweed is kind of getting to me a little bit. I think I've taken enough Benadryl to go ahead and get through without sneezing, but I've got a 24-slide presentation here. I won't take you through all of that because, again, I'm the Ivory Van of excitement when it comes to this stuff. But some of the major things that I wanted to share with you this evening are, and this is a little difficult for you to see, so I'll go ahead and read it to you. This is our mission statement: to drive the growth of economic development for Muskogee by providing meaningful experiences through attractions, events, programming, and community support, while marketing Muskogee as a tourist destination on the state, regional, and national levels to attract visitors from all educational and cultural backgrounds to our city. So basically what we want to do is invite everybody to come to Muskogee to create those experiences and those stories. These are some of the committees and boards that I'm on, one of them being the Oklahoma Travel Industry Association Board of Directors. Can't see it, but a little bit what's highlighted right there, that's my name. So these are some of the main takeaways that goes further in depth on the slides that follow. But what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today was the JH Highway. That's something that's going to be considered like the Route 66, but it's going to come right down. It comes down Okmulgee. So one of the things that I'm working on is working with the other communities along that as well to kind of figure out how we can create passports and send people to them and have them send people to us as well. Statues and murals, new attractions, these are all things that they are on a shorter term plan as far as my book goes. Everywhere can use a little paint and look a little pretty. So The murals and statues, those are things that I'm really excited about. Additional new attractions would be something such as here you go, having some motor coach RV park resort situation happening out at Hatbox, BMX parks out there, really capitalizing on the fact that we have a lot of space out there to do a lot of really cool things. And let's see here. I apologize for that. I already have a slide pulled up over here. I'm following along with my phone. I'm really excited about the potential move of the Batfish. That is going to be able to really complete an experience between Fort Smith and ourselves and be able to give something, some extra light on something that I feel like we don't realize that we have right here. We don't highlight it as much as we should. So moving on to some of the other items at the bottom, you'll kind of see trolley tours for film locations, our history. We have a ton of stories to tell right here in Muskogee, and we're just not quite capitalizing on those as much as we should. So an immediate goal would be to get trolleys and work with the transit system in the meantime until we can purchase trolleys, and make sure that we're curating these tours to show how we are film friendly. So what locations have already been showcased in films and documentaries, and if they haven't yet, then which locations are suitable for that. This falls in line with our film friendly certification at the state level, where they'll be showcasing that online as well anyway. And then this is just a preview of, like a recap of some different events and how we've been showing up in the community. For instance, the chili cook-off, that is something where making that grow into be something larger for tourism would be considering bringing in influencers or other award winners from all over to come and participate in ours. And I really try to make sure that I'm looking at how our local and traditional events are working right now and how we can expand them to be even bigger and get national recognition. Union Pacific Big Boy, that was a fun block party. Pretty much everyone was there, unless you were a square. The caboose donation, this is something else that's really cool. I've been working with Union Pacific to donate a caboose. You'll see it in the top right image right there. And then these are some images of how they've been repurposed to be restaurants or tiny houses or Airbnbs, those sorts of things. So scan right through these. These are all things that you guys are aware of. This is just how we've shown up in the community. Most importantly, I think this more recent, the Veterans Day event was really exciting for me. When you get to this, as you guys look at it, these are some special marketing efforts that I've just kind of had this list of ongoing things. This is from an overall document and folder that I have called Think Tank. So when I get an idea, I put it in the Think Tank, so that way I don't forget about it. This is some more information, just kind of stuff that I've been working on. And then the community support grants. This outlines the new categories and then also the new tiers for those categories. So it's a step 1, step 2. And then these are where we'll be putting their deliverables as well. So happy to answer any questions. That is super, super broad compared to what this is, but I really just want to make sure that we're honing in on the stories that exist here in Muskogee, how we can grow those, how we can talk about things like putting a mock wheelboat out on the river, because they used to have one for the city of Muskogee, and we just don't anymore.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Roy, I guess, so we can put the tourism discussion to rest. So can you clarify the steps and directions of where we're at as far as the tourism board and so forth as relates to the council and any action that's going to be futurely needed from council?
Well, I think what you're getting at is the action of the Tourism Authority.
Yes.
They have recently approved an amendment to a contract that they have with Oxford Productions. Oxford has a contract with the Tourism Authority for operation of the Roxy Theater. An amendment was presented to the Tourism Authority to encompass the tourism program into Oxford Productions. Effectively, Oxford would also be operating the tourism program. Jordan Jorgensen, who you just heard from as the director, was hired directly by the Tourism Authority. And so what the contract would do is eliminate that position and move it to underneath Oxford Productions. Now, several months prior to that, the City Council adopted a resolution, minute order, which was directed to all public trusts, which stated that they could not close or they could not engage in they could not substantially change their operations without council approval of both. And so the issue then was whether or not changing the way tourism was being operated by the Tourism Authority represented a substantial change. My initial advice, which was discussed at the Tourism Authority, was that yes, it does represent a substantial change. And I say that because in reviewing the minutes of the meeting when the City Council authorized the tourism plan to be transferred to the Muskogee Tourism Authority, they approved the amendments to the trust, which you all may remember. It used to be the Roxy Theater Community Trust, and then the purpose was expanded to include tourism, and the name was also changed. And so with that, the plan that was submitted to the Tourism Authority required that the authority run tourism and that they hire a director and the director work for the authority. And so since that is being proposed to be changed by the authority, then that would represent a substantial change. Well, it's up to you all to decide if it represents a substantial change, but my recommendation, because of how the tourism plan was presented to the authority when it was sent over, then I would say that it does, because there were certain specifications that were included within that directive, such as I've just explained. The tourism director would work for the board, and the board would handle tourism. And so in this case, the Tourism Authority is contracting out the tourism program. Now, they, of course, still have oversight of it, but that's what has been proposed, or what has been approved by the Tourism Authority.
So the last month's meeting, when there was that conversation that we've all been pondering over, the 30 days.
So that 30 days applied to the Tourism Authority's action. Mm-hmm. So the authority approved the contract, but reserved the right to rescind it for a period of 30 days. And as I was at that meeting, my recollection is that it was to ensure that negotiations were completed with Jordan as the tourism director, as she assumed her role as an employee of Oxford. And so that's what that 30-day applied to. That 30-day period for the right of rescission had nothing to do with substantial, whether it was a substantial change in operations as considered by the City Council.
Okay, so the action actually was that it's going to Oxford Productions.
Correct. The authority approved an amendment to the contract that they already had with Oxford to incorporate the tourism program. They retained a right to rescind that for a period of 30 days, which that has not expired yet, but it's coming up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chairman, that was what I wanted to present at this time.
Okay, so there's no action on that today?
No.
With that, that concludes our Public Works Committee meeting.
We will now call to order the special call meeting for the Muskogee City Council for November 15, 2021. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Here.
Alex Reynolds. Stephanie Morgan.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hoos.
Here. Item number 1.
Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, consider convening an executive session to discuss the potential settlement and/or the appointment of a settlement representative involving a United States District Court case titled Floyd Patterson v. City of Muskogee, case number CIV-20-40-RAW, and take appropriate action in open session.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Been properly moved that we go into executive session. Roll call.
Tracy Hoos.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds. Evelyn Hibbs. Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, we will now go into executive session. All of those who are not party to executive session, please excuse yourself from the chamber at this time. We will now reconvene from executive session. Roll call.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Jamie Stout.
Here.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Here.
Alex Reynolds. Stephanie Morgan.
Here.
Tracy McGee.
Here.
Tracy Hous.
Here.
Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 307B4, Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, the City Council did convene an executive session to discuss the appointment of a settlement representative in the U.S. District Court case entitled Floyd Patterson versus City of Muskogee, case number CIV-20-40-RAW. After being briefed on the status of that claim and the upcoming settlement conference, I believe an appropriate motion would be to appoint Stephanie Jones Morgan as a fully authorized settlement representative to attend that conference on December 3rd, 2021.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Roll call.
Tracy Hous.
Yes.
Tracy McGee.
Yes.
Stephanie Morgan.
Yes.
Alex Reynolds.
Yes.
Evelyn Hibbs.
Yes.
Jamie Stout.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Marlon Coleman.
Yes, the item passes. That is our last item for the evening. We are adjourned.